PHNX Sun Devils crossover podcast featuring the DNVR Buffs team. My name's Brittany Boyer. I'm your host. But before we get too far into it, let's talk a little bit about DraftKings Sportsbook. It's America's top-rated sportsbook.
It really is.
If you go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and you put and you put $1 down on any football game this weekend, you receive $150 in free bets. I'm Brittany Boyer, your host. Joining me, go ahead and introduce yourself. We'll go around the room.
Am I getting called on? I'm Shane. Hi, guys. My name is Shane. Hi.
I was delegated to make sure I host this podcast.
Good work, Shane.
Sorry, I get so nervous around you guys.
I'll drink to
It's like
that.
being
I'll
around
drink to
floor.
that.
Yeah. I can do the second part of that.
Ready? Oh, my fingernails.
Come on, you got this.
I just get so nervous. Oh,
You guys can
yeah.
just hear me drink it 'cause I already opened mine.
I'm Ryan. You can call me RK. I like the Buffs. Thanks.
I'm Henry. I'm also from DNVR, and I cover the Buffs. I don't just like them.
Yeah, Henry actually covers them. I'm
I'm-
just a guy.
The fan.
You are kind of just a guy.
Yeah.
In my eyes, you're more than that.
Oh,
Yeah.
So sweet.
thanks, Shane.
We already
You're
have a
welcome.
great chemistry going.
We do, yeah. It's going great.
We are doing the crossover show this week. As everyone knows, ASU hosts Colorado. It's going to be a really exciting game, opening up Pac-12 play. You know, both teams coming into this game off of a big loss last week. What do you guys... first and foremost, welcome to Phoenix, but what are you looking forward to the most with this game this week? And, before we get too far into this, let's do our trash or treasure. I can't believe I almost forgot this. First, it's Jersey. So,
Thursday.
time for our trash or treasure take for today. ASU will be revealing these beautiful gold jerseys on the field against Colorado. We had Brian Johnson on to talk with us on Tuesday. He was talking about how he has a design to correspond with the jersey release, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he has. So we want to know, do you guys think that the jersey is trash or treasure?
It's treasure. It's
Treasure.
100%.
I'm saying treasure
It's
too.
gold. It's plentiful in bounty. Really?
No, that is yellow.
This is
See,
gold.
Colorado uses gold. Arizona State
No.
uses yellow.
There is a
Gold
little
on the
bit of gold.
sleeves,
Yes,
but
on the
actually my
sleeves.
biggest-
That's pewter.
I don't
not
think you
even
know what
close to
pewter is.
pewter.
I don't think you know what pewter
Okay,
is.
but no, I said the
I
same
don't know what
thing.
pewter
One's
is.
like a yellowy gold, and you guys have an actual true gold.
Yes.
The
Which is-
Arizona State gold has
gold.
always been this off, like
It's
yellowy, darker. It's like a mix between if you had yellow mixed with like a little bit of orange almost, I feel like.
yeah, there are some drops of gold in there. But that's a huge pet peeve of mine because you guys
Really?
will say like maroon
Okay,
and gold, right?
but here's the thing.
You're a color snob, aren't you?
yeah.
Okay,
you know,
but wait.
Oh.
Have you ever seen ASU's old, like, original gold jerseys that they tried to do back in the 80s where everyone made fun of them and called them the Fighting Bananas? Those were legitimately yellow, and they were so ugly. So these, in comparison, I think for a lot of Arizona State fans at least, I mean, I think back to those jerseys, and this is a treasure in comparison.
It's a good one.
I mean-
it is a good jersey.
It is. I'm not a fan of the two different shades of gold, even
A
though
lot
one
of
really
people
is.
have said that.
But I do like the sleeves. It's a cool idea. Last week's were better. Last week's were like really.
I
really good.
think this will look a lot better under the lights. I think because I
Mm,
wasn't
okay.
really on board with the pearlescent helmet they were doing until I saw it under the lights because I thought the two different tones of maroon were going to clash, but it ended up looking really good. So,
So here's where I think they went with this different
Who
gold
knows?
outline is because I think that the gold they're going to use on the helmets this game is going to end up being a gradient type of gold like that.
Huh.
Mm.
Okay.
What do you think, Henry?
Solid. Very solid jerseys.
think
I'm
you'd
not
look
Actually,
known.
two-tone, not solid.
Thanks, Ryan. That's real
Oh
important.
my God, you kinda
but yeah,
suck,
I mean,
huh?
yeah, but they're good
lot of people
jerseys.
are
They're good
saying that.
jerseys. I think that I'm not like a fan of like the changing all the jerseys constantly.
Yeah.
I like just like you have your jersey, you stick
Is
with
that because
it.
you guys are boring?
You're the traditional
Um,
type of person.
We usually aren't until our new coach made us boring.
Yeah, boring's one way to put it, but I mean like Michigan, Alabama. Nobody
See,
like
and no,
changes their
there's-
jerseys.
there's a
There's
very-
heritage there though.
No, but there is a very distinct line, I feel like,
Mhm.
that's been drawn in the college football fans sand, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Fan
There's like a
sand.
line in the sand with the fans.
Yes, the fan
In
sand.
terms of some are diehard, they like the tradition. Oh my God, Shane, I hate you.
I'm just actually, when you said fan sand, I thought of like a really cool thing you could bring to a tailgate. Like,
Oh my
yo,
God, we
boys,
have a
I
new
brought-
idea for our
Makes your little
tailgate.
tailgate
Yo,
into a
boys, I brought the
beach.
fan sand.
I think Spano has like a 60-pound bag of multi-purpose sand in his truck.
Yeah.
Might have to hook you up
Hey,
with that,
bro, let's
Shane.
go build some sandcastles.
We'll get that to you.
Turn any tailgate into a beach.
How's it going, Brittany?
I had to make sure I didn't forget what I was going to say. Though I do think that there's a very definitive line that separates if you like traditional jerseys and the traditional look, or if you like to switch it up and incorporate the change and something fresh every once in a while. And you really don't see anyone who's in the middle. I feel like it's very rare you see people who are in the middle. You're either a classic traditional, stick to what it is, don't change it around, or you're not.
Yeah, I feel like for a second there, Colorado actually was in the middle because like they have their very classic look, but they had several variations of it. Like in their arsenal right now, they have 4 different helmets, but they just like the new coach was like, we only wear one, except for maybe once a year.
And they actually got rid of the silver ones.
They don't exist anymore.
I think that might be breaking news on this podcast. But
wow.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah.
I mean, I knew they weren't going to wear them. Those were sick.
See, but that's why I like when they do different jerseys, because I feel like it gives you another unique look that almost makes your school more unique. It brings more of a media attention and grab to you on the field. And like I almost feel like people are gonna make fun of me because I'm a girl and I'm saying this, but like when you look good, you feel good. Like when 100%. You look fresh as hell, you're gonna play fresh as hell. So go out there and like ball out.
There's something to be said about rocking a brand new jersey that people are excited for. And it adds to the level of like excitement essentially for these players. Like they want to go out there and be like, look, we play good in these jerseys. Like the Suns to some extent did that. The Valley jerseys, everyone was so excited about that. They had the court, and then it became a ritual. Like they started wearing them in the finals because they won so much in that jersey.
That's what the Nuggets with the black skylines the year before. I totally believe it. I'll literally bet on the team if they drop a fire jersey before the game. I'm like,
I love that. Yeah,
that's a jersey game. You got to ride.
Some of my bets this year were based on the Suns. I hated their orange jerseys, but they were so good in them, so I'd bet on them every time they wore them.
Yeah, I feel like if you want to use like a throwback jersey or like some cool jersey like once or twice a season, that'd be my move. And then just wear the same like your jersey the rest of the way. That way it like pops more when you do it.
I agree.
If I have to choose trash or treasure, I'll say treasure.
It's treasure.
I think it's treasure.
Consensus
I like
treasure.
it a lot. I just think it's a really great way to bring back the classic gold that people have wanted to see more and they haven't been able to see as much of, and it's at least incorporating it. But this is, I know you argue it's not gold, but it's like the same color that basketball uses for their uniforms, and that sold really well and it looked really good. So I think it gave football a little bit more confidence in terms of going in and what they were going to do.
When you see the fans love wearing that color too, like you'll see the student section. But I just would have made the sunbeams on the arm the same color as the rest of the jersey.
Yeah. And I don't argue that, but I told you my theory as to why. And I don't think they've announced anything yet. They may have, and I just haven't seen it, but I think that's what the sticker on the helmet's going to be.
Buffs are going gold helmets, white tops, white pants, which is a good look for them.
It is like nice and clean.
Yep.
Well, let's move on. Our question of the day that Shane and I had for our viewers on Tuesday was if Arizona State is going to have another game this season where penalties ultimately cost them the game. Now, I'm not sure if you saw Arizona State's game last week. It was their most penalties in a game that they've had since 2006. No, I believe it was 16.
16.
And it was absolutely terrible.
Surprised Vontez didn't have 16 of his own anymore.
I know, but okay. So here's the thing: Vontez Burfict played under Dennis Erickson, and this dates back past Dennis Erickson time to Dirk Cutter's era at ASU. That's how poorly of a performance it was on Saturday night in terms of penalty and just lack of discipline. So that was the question of the day. We had 144 votes. 85% of people say yes. They feel like ASU is going to have another game this season that penalties are going to cost them the game.
I think it might be this game too. It's going to cost them the spread at least. That's for sure. But we'll talk about that later. Let's get on to the question of the day today. You want to pull that up now? This is something I was thinking of. I go on hikes a lot down here, and the 100-degree weather doesn't bother me that much, unless it gets like 110 or it's humid. So the question of the day today is, would you rather run a mile in 110-degree heat in the middle of Phoenix or elevation 5,200 feet, run a mile there in Denver?
I mean, I feel like the answer for us is easy. Like
you guys are
trained.
trained.
You'd rather do it at altitude.
Yep.
It's not like if you got off the plane and did it right away, it would definitely suck. But you get used to it pretty quickly, I feel like.
Yeah. I feel like that's basically the answer. The altitude makes a difference. I do think the altitude makes a difference.
For sure.
The heat, is just so relentless.
It's debilitating, yeah. The thing for me is, I'm interested to see people that don't live in Arizona or Colorado answer this question, because then they're non-biased.
I'm still taking the heat, and I've
By the way, Boulder 5,300.
Oh, fucking.
Little higher than Denver.
Sorry.
Adds up.
Well,
I need to do better. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. No, yeah.
Listen, it's still high enough. I don't want to run either way.
Good take.
That's the best
That's
answer.
probably the answer.
The answer, answering which would you rather do, you just say no. No, I'm not doing it either.
I feel like
don't put me down for cardio.
Yeah.
It depends on how far or how long you have to run. Too.
A mile.
Yeah, a mile. But then like if it was like 4 miles, I feel like that's where the altitude would really start to kick in.
True.
The altitude gets you like pretty fast though.
Everybody always talks about like the third quarter though.
Dog, I get winded when I walk up the stairs.
Okay, well maybe your vote doesn't count for too much. maybe yours is just like it's not gonna go well either way.
Why?
Because listen to her.
Oh, she's saying
Okay, but when you're in Colorado, like if you had to walk up the flight of stairs that was in that like stadium, tell me you don't get winded. And then think about like the idea of like running 4 miles there versus running 4 miles here.
Yeah. I mean, it all sucks is the
but
answer.
also, this isn't sea level. I feel like that has to be,
true.
How is
we're
it
not
close?
sea level, but we're definitely like not that high above it.
I think the Diamondback Stadium is the second highest elevation of any.
1,000.
Yeah, of any team in the MLB.
That's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
It's the valley.
I guess.
We're in a valley. It's 1,000 feet elevation.
Famously,
That's
yeah.
I don't know very much. What is this? Geography?
It might be.
Is it topography?
It's
Dude,
definitely
people-
topography.
Is it really?
It might also be
Is it really?
geography.
Dude, I'm fucking smart.
Yeah, you're on it today.
Kind of cool. Okay. You have some Herm stuff that we're gonna touch on before.
We do. So Herm spoke at the press conference. Herm and Bobby Wade, they both were out there on Monday discussing, everything after the loss and what they're looking forward to this week and focusing on this week and moving forward. So I know you guys wanted to talk about how ASU matches up against Colorado. Personnel-wise, Bobby Wade discussed how well he believes ASU matches up. I don't know. Do you want to roll that clip right now for us so we can talk
Personnel's
about
tricky. They change a lot of they change it. It varies. They go from a 3-4 to a 4-3. They got different down line and they move things around a lot. So we just got to be prepared to really bring our offense to them. I think really find a way to settle down and do what we do really well. Trust our eyes, trust our training. See what we see because they're going to twist it up. They're going to mix it up. And then seeing last week how BYU did a ton of drop 8 on us. We anticipate probably some of that, especially after taking a loss. So we just got to be prepared for absolutely everything. Personnel-wise, I think we match up really well. I think we'll be able to, especially in the secondary and the perimeter. I still think that our group is the dominant group when they're on the field. I thought last week we were too. And we just got to be prepared for any opportunities we get and, be able to capitalize on them.
So I know that was kind of a long video, but he rambled a little bit there getting started. And so I couldn't necessarily just cut into it there. But yeah, it's a good matchup. I think it's going to be very competitive, very close. But I do think that ASU is going to have the edge in the game offensively, and that's really going to be what's going to end up sparking it.
What do you think he said about personnel? Do you think he's correct in saying that ASU's matches up well against this Colorado team?
So the big thing to me though is the secondary matches up well against the passing game because Colorado's quarterback literally just refuses to throw the football. So it doesn't matter if there's open receivers anyway because he just won't throw the football. When you look at the corners against the receivers though, I think it's a fun matchup with Chase Lucas and Jack Jones.
Jones.
Like those are some really good corners.
Yeah.
But the kind of the trend with that whole secondary is that they're a little bit undersized.
Yep.
And so when you have big guys like Brendon Rice and all of them out there, you think okay, maybe on these deep balls they get a chance. I think we saw a little bit against BYU, some deep balls that they threw that worked. The problem again being that the quarterback will not be throwing deep balls. And for that reason, I think that the edge has to go to
I saw you smirk a
Arizona
little bit.
State.
I want to bring something up because you touched on Brendon Rice. He is from here originally, played at Hamilton. So, coming back here, there were a lot of people who gave him shit when he left and went to Colorado.
Really?
So I'm sure he's going to come back here and want to play with a vengeance and put on too. So that's something to look for.
I have a feeling he's going to be wide open. I have a feeling it might not
do
matter.
that from the Wildcat.
Maybe. I mean, it's
we
just a tough
we were
situation.
talking earlier today, and you're a big proponent of the Wildcat.
Mhm.
Well,
Okay,
let's hear it.
The main reason is because what Henry was saying, the Buffs aren't throwing the ball right now. Like what happens is Brendon Rice takes a snap, drops back, holds on to it for a while, either runs and throws it away, or gets sacked, or runs.
Yeah.
So like we've just like the whole entire Colorado fan base all week is just saying like, okay, well, what can they do to change this up? Because what they're doing isn't even coming close to working. 20 consecutive drives without points. It's a Pac-12 record. So, and
It's
like
okay.
this is a conference that has
your
U of A in
record's
it.
still not as bad as U of A's. That's what I was just gonna.
Well,
say.
I was gonna. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, like, but offensively, it's worse.
I've never heard anything like that. I mean, clearly in the Pac-12, it's a record, but that just me. I'm so sorry. That just makes me sad.
Yeah, no,
it's sad. Yeah,
it's really
it's
bad. So, like, this is a team that has a lot of talented backs: Jarek Broussard, Ashad Clayton, Alex Fontenot, and you're just starting to think like, okay, well, could you do like a 3-back wildcat motion type of stuff? I mean, that's where we're at.
That's insane.
Yeah,
you're
like
creating Madden plays in your head.
100%. Like
absolutely
triple option. You know, like that's sadly what it's come to. But Henry's right. I mean, there is a point where like they're just gonna have to force him to let it go, throw the ball. But that also could result
point
in
was weeks ago.
It
was.
And
then nothing has changed.
There has to be an adjustment here where they're saying like, okay, listen, Brendon, if you have single coverage on Brendon Rice on the outside, like you have to throw it.
For sure.
So basically we're saying we don't know what we're expecting.
I really do think they're going to have to come with something different and creative in this game.
Absolutely.
So Herm is expecting something, and we have a clip of that also, right?
So let's hear what Herm has to
let's see what
say.
Herm thinks.
Well, as we enter our Pac-12 season, our opponent Colorado, when you look at them on tape, very good defense. Don't allow a lot of points. The last game they played, ball got turned over a bit and put their defense in some bad situations, but they're very sound. They don't give up a lot of points. Offensively, they have a talented group of wide receivers and some running backs. Quarterback is similar to the guy we just faced. He's got a good arm and can make a lot of plays with his legs. So they're a football team that has some talent. They're big up front on their offensive line. Defensively, they're long. They've got a really good secondary play, a lot of man-to-man, a lot of press coverage. So that's going to be a test for us in the passing game. Let's try to get some guys open, but they play very physical. They're a very physical football team. So we got our work cut out for them. As you guys know, the Pac-12 is one of those conferences that it just seems like when we get into conference play, anything can happen. And I think when we have 9 games left, they're all Pac-12 games. So that's going to kind of dictate what type of team we are going forward.
So that whole thing about getting receivers open is basically Herm saying we need that guy. And that's something me and Britt have been talking about for weeks is there is no main dude in the receiving core. Like there's talented names, Ricky Pearsall, Andre Johnson. There's guys that should be that guy, but every game it's like 3 for 33 yards, 4 for 20. Like nobody is that guy on this ASU team, and that's the biggest worry for me at least right now.
Right, and this is a team that went from N'Keal Harry to
Ronald
Brandon Ayuk,
Jalen Strong,
Jalen Strong. Yeah, for a while they've had that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's definitely something that's showing up on tape when I watch ASU. Is like Jaden Daniels just doesn't necessarily have a guy who he's like, all right, it's 3rd and 6.
The only person I've seen that has even made any sort of effort that I think you could argue that he would consider being those guys would be LV Bunkley Shelton or Curtis Hodges.
Bunkley Shelton's been great, but that's recency bias too. He was the best receiver in that BYU game.
He also stepped it up a little bit though, more in that UNLV game.
Yeah, he had a big.
How old is Herm?
60,
he sounds so.
I believe he's 67.
I genuinely think it's because he doesn't talk. He talk yells to his.
He's like
players.
as dusty as that helmet on the table. Like, jeez.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He just needs some throw losengers. He needs a Ricola.
He sounds.
He does.
He sounds like really old.
Ooh, I was right.
Whoa.
Wow.
See how good I know my team?
He's older than Vic Fangio.
Wow. That's old.
3 years younger than Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll seems younger than him.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does.
That's because Pete Carroll chews gum all day.
It keeps his jaw nice. And
So you know when you get really stressed out and your jaw starts clenching, You know what I'm talking about? Like when you're grinding your teeth.
Yes.
So that happens to me when I'm on DraftKings Sportsbook. But there's no.
Wow, what a transition.
That was
but with the insurance they have on these same game parlays, I don't have to be stressed all the time. They give you $25 up to $25 back, and the same game parlays are right up my alley. I made one tonight. We had our bet show earlier.
Yep.
I placed another one actually for. Davis Mills over 1.5 touchdowns and Davis Mills over passing yards.
Big Davis Mills guy.
I'm huge. I mean, but that's not me saying it's gonna happen. That's me saying I could.
Yeah,
Davis Mills, he's a capable guy, kind of. But download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Do those same game parlays. Get this can't miss offer. Bet just $1 on any football game this week and receive $150 in free bets instantly when you use code PHNX. It's fun, it's easy, it's quick, it's safe, it's secure. That threw me off. I looked at the thing and I was going like this, and my hands were moving different. Okay. Download that app. Use code PHNX. 21 plus. Arizona only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details.
Wow, good job with that.
I'm pretty good at it.
You got that down by now.
It's like I'm the starting running back of a team and they called it halfback dive. Like, of course I'm gonna gain 3 yards. Why not gain 5?
Exactly like that.
If only you were good at placing bets as you are reading about them.
I'm okay. I don't tell people to take my advice. I just say keep tabs on me.
I'm not really great at giving betting advice, but I have picked a couple upsets recently, and that's something that everyone can be looking forward to. You can go over to gophnx.com. We'll be having our weekly Pac-12 predictions going up tomorrow for you guys to look at with the odds, the spreads, the money line, everything coming from DraftKings, and a little breakdown of every game and every matchup that we have on the slate for the Pac-12 schedule this weekend. And also, I'm not sure if you guys read anything or not that I had put out yesterday, but ASU, I am starting a new series. It's going to be about 7 pieces worth of work.
Sleeping giant, baby.
But why ASU will forever be a sleeping giant, at least as of right now, unless some things change. And I know that it's a touchy subject, and a lot of people don't necessarily like to talk about it, or it makes them very irritated to talk about it, or they point the fingers. But I really want everyone to read this in full and let me know what your takeaway is, and see if it enlightens anything for you or makes you change how you see, and if you decide that you're going to try to move forward a little bit differently from now on. And that's how I'll leave that.
That's one thing you guys don't have to worry about is expectations.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because Colorado is one of 25 schools in the nation that has a national championship and a Heisman Trophy. Like, for many years, the sleeping giant thing was being said about CU too.
Yeah.
It just went so far downhill that was kind of broken. But what's funny you mentioned about expectations is they had kind of gone away. But then last year, they go 4-2. They're 4-1 in their 5 regular season games. They lose to Texas in the Alamo Bowl, and it got hope back up. And literally in the last 7 days,
it's been crazy.
The loss to Minnesota was so bad that it has gone fans have gone to a lot of fans have gone to a new low. Legitimately,
there are people in the ASU football Facebook group who are already calling for Herm Edwards to be fired. So I mean ASU fans are a very unique.
I might be with that.
I know. I love Herm, but I was pretty surprised they didn't fire him before the season with all the stuff going on behind the scenes.
It's so funny that that's kind of been pushed aside for now too.
I know.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that I feel like we also still haven't been told. Like, yeah, we've been told a lot, but I feel like there's a lot they're still keeping from us, and I'm just waiting for it all to drop before I really make a full assumption, because I've heard such a vast array of what's going to happen, from like, oh, hey, they're just going to have a couple scholarships that they lose, to like, oh, they're done, they're going to get axed.
I think it's definitely a distraction for these players. It's kind of like the players in the locker room, like they hear about this and then they go, they're expected to practice every day, not even think of it. It's like your parents are arguing upstairs and you can hear them shout. You don't know what to do. You just kind of
just ignore it.
Well, and then what? I mean, they have 3 assistant coaches get suspended or whatever they call it before the season.
Quite frankly, still surprised that Antonio Pierce is still on
Antonio
campus
Pierce is the
right
one
now. I know, like, it's a little bit of a touchy subject to talk about the NCAA investigation because it's still like an ongoing investigation. But with how much he was brought up and named, I was just like, okay, but he's still here, like. And also, the other thing is, he was who ASU was kind of looking to groom. At least a year and a half ago, they made this announcement when they named him, I believe it was like the co-associate head coach or something. It was some weird title, but it was not like assistant coach or something, or like assistant head coach. It was like co-associate, something weird. So they already had put it out there that they wanted to groom him for the next head coaching role after Herm Edwards was gone. And I think that also gave a lot of ASU fans some faith in terms of like, okay, the program's going to be moving in the right direction. They're going to have something to build on. It's going to be a coach that's familiar with the program, and he's going to make it his own. And the way he ended up at least making it his own since the news has come out is not things people want to see. They're not things that make you necessarily feel good. I've heard a couple people say distinctly like, well, this is what happens when you hire a wildcat, and I'm like, okay, but I don't think that's what it is. I honestly think it's just like the mentality right now really is coming down to like win and win at all costs. And like they're doing their best, but it still wasn't enough. So they're trying to keep up with like schools because I mean, they're thinking, and this is just from my perspective, I'm sure they're getting a lot of pushback from the upper athletic administration in terms of what they need to produce on the field because of how much money they've spent on contracts, renovations, etc., whatever you want to say. So I think that they're coming down on them to perform. I think that they're worried about fans coming out to the games because it's already a hard sell, especially with this many people in a town this size, or I should say a city this size. We're the 5th largest city in the United States. And there's always something to do. So they need to elevate that level of talent on the field and to draw people out. Yeah, and especially early in the year. It is hot. So I feel like their whole main goal was really like everyone is expecting them like, hey, why aren't you on the same level as like all, I don't know, like Bama, Clemson, Florida, well, I don't want to say LSU right now because they're really not that great, but LSU in years past. And it's like, okay, well, there's a lot of factors that go into that. But
there's so many factors.
But one of them is like,
the same thing you say about ASU is the same thing people say about Boulder.
But that's why they end up. I feel like that's why they're ending up cheating though right now because they're starting to push down more and more and more in terms of like you need to produce. So they're trying to pull in the bigger name recruits any way that they can, even if it's just like one or two a class that could be a difference maker. That's the way that they're doing it.
Everyone's cheating, so it's just who's getting caught. It's who's doing it more blatantly. But what I was saying is like people come and they visit and they go to ASU and they walk around campus and they're like, how do people not come here? How do kids not come here? Say the same thing about Boulder.
Yeah. So Mel Tucker said.
Right.
It's like if we can get them on campus, they're coming to Boulder.
And he's probably, in a lot of cases, he's right. But there's a lot more that goes into college recruiting than like getting a kid to come on campus.
Like
and
cars.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now the NIL stuff will be really interesting.
I thought you were talking about the movie Cars. I was like, no. That's a good selling point.
Yeah.
Hey, no more film, just Cars 1, 2, and 3.
Take your pick. It's all we're watching. But yeah, I mean, from like an outside perspective, though, before last season, I thought that Arizona State was the best team in the conference, and I was fired up. In a DNVR Madden league.
And then they go into the first game and have a complete meltdown in the last 2 minutes against USC and blow that. Oh, that was a joyous one to watch.
Exactly. I had ASU money line in that one too. I gotta stop doing that,
brother.
Dude, I was so mad, like
I bet.
mad, and I was not in a good place at that point in my life.
Did we all lose money?
I this. We all might have.
We got.
I know I did.
This.
Oh man, I just got like.
Even if we didn't all lose money, maybe I'm lying. Let's go to the ASU sports update, and you guys have some stuff as well.
For sure.
Someone said
a little bit of an ASU sports update. Then we'll let the Buffs guys do a Colorado update.
Someone said Notre Dame is cheating? ? Yes.
Everybody is cheating.
Yeah.
Why aren't they filled with 5-star? Well, because no one wants to go to South Bend.
I mean, it's not like Arizona State's filled with 5 stars.
Right.
We're filled
we
with
know
5-star people.
There's only like, what?
That's a good spin.
50?
No, we're filled. Well,
how many 5 stars exist in a class?
Maybe 50. I think less than that.
Most of them go to Alabama.
Yeah.
Or Ohio State.
True.
Yep.
Okay. So quick update with some ASU sports stuff. Then we'll let Colorado go give your update on where your sports are at. So first and foremost, volleyball opens up their Pac-12 play tonight against U of A. It's going to be a big game for them tonight. Desert Financial Arena, so it's a home match. Soccer opens up Pac-12 play this Friday on the road at Washington. And Shane, did you see ASU soccer is ranked the highest on the AP poll in program history that they've ever been ranked?
We were right.
At number 15.
We were right. They
and
are
their one
good.
loss is to currently number 5 LSU. So that's huge. Soccer has been a great turnaround, and I'm excited to see what else they have going on. Hockey, the puck drops next Saturday. That's going to be excited. We'll have Craig Morgan coming on soon to give you guys more hockey updates.
Legend.
Also, Make sure you go over to PHNX. You can read some of his hockey stuff if you're just an overall hockey fan. He has a ton of awesome stuff for the Coyotes.
I don't think he needs any more fans. He has a bunch of little minions that are all over his Twitter. It's hilarious.
He does have minions. What else? Oh, former ASU baseball player and right-handed pitcher Seth Martinez got his shot at the big leagues on Tuesday when the Astros called him up. So that's also super exciting. He played at ASU, I believe, between 2013 and 2016.
Must be nice to have a baseball team.
And he's a native of Arizona. He went to Sunrise Mountain High School. So, hey, shout out to that AZ native, Seth Martinez, making his MLB debut. Just sucks it's with the Houston Astros because they're cheaters. And, well, hey, I guess ASU are cheaters. So, hey, it goes in this family.
Yeah, Colorado side. Honestly, not as much happening because there's no hockey. There's no baseball, which again I'm cool with.
I'm not.
But the volleyball team just started Pac-12 play. They were undefeated in non-conference play. Got swept against Washington State. So there's a fun update there. Soccer team starts conference play against Cal on Saturday. 4-3 in non-conference. Some tough losses. Florida State. Top in the country, TCU. So we'll see what happens once they start playing the rest of the Pac-12.
Do you guys have a good golf program? Nope. Or a golf program?
Yeah, they do have one. Yep.
Not good?
Not historically, no.
No. Okay.
And no Phil Mickelson or John Rahm's coming through there.
Florida State's girls soccer program could win a football game before their football program.
I like where this is going. Any ideas for this new sport we're creating?
I don't know, but I think I have a name.
Well, we win the national championship in skiing like every other year.
Okay, but I'm talking about a brand new
That's not an invention.
We dominate that
around forever.
Brand new sport.
Are you saying like bring badminton to?
No. Create a completely different sport.
What about football? But you have to go up a mountain.
Whoa. What about basketball? But you have to go down a mountain.
Oh. That sounds dangerous.
What about?
I don't think we're close.
What about like a decathlon, but it's all carnival games?
This sounds like a good time.
That one actually sounds fun.
I don't think we're gonna come up with it right now.
No,
yeah, being honest, I don't think we're close at all.
We'll get back to this.
All right, let's get to our keys to the game. Mm-hmm. Come on, dude. Thank you. Keys to the game. Look at that graphic. I think I saw somebody.
Don't be mean to Jacob.
Did somebody up there say they don't like the mascot? Is that Sparky in general or our mascot?
I don't really know, but it was there.
Hey, if you commented, go elaborate on that.
Humble Rumble.
Oh well, that sucks.
It might be one of our
because he's
guys.
awesome.
Okay, so keys to the game. We'll let you guys go first since you're the away team.
I've got one.
Is it score point?
It's score point.
That was going to be mine too.
Let's go, baby.
That's going to be a major key.
Gotta get at least one.
6 quarters. 6 quarters they've gone without scoring a point. Hey.
10 would be crazy.
It's got to happen here soon, right?
10 would be so bad that it would almost be cool.
We'll see what happens if we get there.
10 straight quarters.
I don't know. You just got to get Jarek Broussard going. I think realistically that's key number one. They didn't have him in the second half against Texas A&M. First half they're moving the ball well. They could have won that game. They had opportunities to score more points. And then didn't play in the second half. Didn't play in the first quarter of the last game, and then wound up with 5 carries for 8 yards, which was enough to get him Pro Football Focus's highest offensive grade for Colorado in that game. But yeah, you got
incredible.
You got to get him going. Let's just call it 100 yards for Jarek Broussard.
That'd be a good shirt. Are you okay?
No, not at all.
All right, what's your number one key for this game?
I think we all already know because I started off with it. Penalties.
Yeah.
Jeez,
Discipline
Louise, they cannot give up 16 penalties.
What's the number? What's the number that they can
or over under for
survive?
Success?
7.
No, 12. I'd say 12. If they get less than 12, I think we win this game fine. But if it's more than 12,
penalties,
so many. Well, the crazy thing is, like, there's the penalties, but they shoot themselves in the foot in so many different ways.
If ASU gets 12 penalties, I'm going to go on a tangent on our website with my next story just
like I was saying on our show this morning. I guarantee there's a point in this game where you guys are 3rd and 20 on like our 45, and our DN assaults your quarterback. And it's an automatic, or even just a holding call downfield. Yeah, and it's an automatic first down. Like it's gonna happen.
Are we playing? Are we suiting up, Shane?
They do it. They do it to me, so I do it back.
Yeah, I think they can probably get away with a lot of penalties in this one.
Unless something big is changing.
What was it? 3 consecutive false starts.
2, and then next down 2 in a row again.
It's crazy because they do that stuff, and then they drop balls on third down. They fumble the opening kickoff. They fumble the interception later on.
That was the worst.
Like,
and that's
crazy.
because Gordon Porter is not normally their kick returner. DJ Taylor was out,
the best in the conference.
And so Gordon Porter was like, "Yo, I'm gonna ball out," and he like takes out the end zone, fumbles it right away, and I'm just like, "This is terrible."
Like, what's he thinking? But yeah, I mean, just constantly shooting themselves in the foot. It was crazy going back and watching that game. The reverse flea flicker touchdown they give up. Like, that was honestly fluky
that was
that they
awesome,
were
though.
down.
Okay, and
2 scores
it's
at
very
halftime.
ironic how they completed that because the way they were able to pull that off involved kids that are out of Arizona. They were kids that were recruited out of Arizona for high school that ASU passed on, and then it's like, hey, we're gonna just score on you, and it's like,
does BYU have any kids, or are they all like 27?
Some of them are like. Like Gunnar Romney is like a normal age, I believe, but then there's like
I'm pretty sure he's of age to run for office.
There's another Romney that's up there. I think that's older.
Yeah, there's multiple Romneys. It's so funny.
Death taxes, there's a Romney everywhere.
Death taxes, ASU is gonna get penalized and probably lose another
What's your
game.
actual over under for what you think they're gonna do?
Yeah. I think they will probably be floating around the 9 to 10 mark this game because I think that Herm has. I mean, I said this last game for them. I said the exact same thing. I said these first 2 games were a test. Week 3 is when you figure it out, and then they did more than they did the last couple games. And at halftime in the BYU game, I was like, Herm drilled it into them for sure. And then again, it was a slow start with penalties. I don't understand.
Yeah,
do they hate Herm? Are they doing this in spite of him? Like it blows my mind.
And that after last game, we did a post-game show, and I basically went on there and said, I'm so goddamn tired of all of these excuses from this team. Like, I really am. I feel like it's always an excuse. And so I feel like going into this week, it's going to be another excuse as to if something happens, XYZ, oh, well, penalty-wise, and you have to think about the age group of people and the kids that we're trying to work with and changing things. They actually said that in the press conference this week. Like, it's not going to be
something that someone that's 67 would say.
The only time you can say is against BYU.
Do not make an excuse for them.
The oldest team.
The worst,
any other time you're playing kids the exact same age.
The worst thing is they're not a young team. They have so many returning players. They almost got their entire defense back.
So 16 last week, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Do you know how many penalties Colorado has on the season?
7.
12.
17.
Oh shit.
My God.
That's close.
So
not really.
Almost in
I was
1
off by
week.
10.
Yeah, they're at 55 penalty yards a game. That's like pretty standard.
That's so
5 a game ish so far. That's like what you live with in college.
Maybe they're just angry. Maybe they're all just mad. Maybe we need to get them to do yoga.
Hey,
that sounded like a segue into an ad read.
No, sponsored by yoga.org.
No, but
the Association of Yoga in the United States.
I think they could benefit from yoga though, in terms of keeping themselves flexible and limber, so they don't get injured as much.
Yeah.
Because another injury, Treveas Moore, I can't actually say his name.
Oh no,
he is out for the season. He had a knee injury in the game against BYU. Still no word on what's going on with Chip Trainum, at least the last I had looked. Not sure if he's going to be suiting up, and that's something that is
I'd be surprised if Chase Lucas plays also.
Concern, yes.
Really?
And that was my last one, is Chase Lucas. He was pretty banged up after a play last week.
He went low on somebody and either got like a knee or an elbow to the head, and he was down.
Yeah.
So concussion protocol is always weird for college. So I doubt he plays, but I don't know. They haven't said anything yet.
It was weird how he just got up and sprinted off the field.
Yeah,
he's like laying there for a bit.
That's almost
and then
kind of common for concussions. Is when you go down like that, it's like, holy hell, I'm knocked, or they're literally knocked out, and then they get up and they're like, I don't want to seem like I'm actually hurt, but then there could be.
You're all trying to run.
Or
everything's like spinning, and you're just like running in a straight line. It's like after you spin in a circle on.
Or they might just need to throw up.
Oh yeah, it's a little dizzy. Real quick, as for keys to the game, I feel like Colorado, like, realistically has to keep them under 24.
More than that.
To have any chance?
I think so. I mean, based on what we saw over the last 2 weeks, I mean, they've scored 7 points.
Have any chance of covering or to win?
To win.
That's why I said less than that.
No, but I'm saying, like,
ASU's realistically just
what's ASU averaging per game? Probably right around more than that, obviously, because they played some cupcakes early.
It's got to be somewhere in the 30s, because it was like 41, and I want to say 40 was the next one, and then BYU, I think they put up.
No, I think that's a good number.
32 points per game. Yeah. So if you hold them almost 10 points under their average per game, you feel like you should have a chance. But again, do I think they're going to score 24? No. The over-under set at 45. I'm saying hammer the under because Colorado's defense actually is respectable. Like, they had some circumstance.
Dude, your defense up there is sick.
Yeah, last week it doesn't look good when you lose 30-0 against Minnesota, but that was a combination of a few things, including the offense putting them in bad spots, the offense never flipping being on the field, never flipping the field, never being on the field, and on top of it all, at a certain point, the defense just says, like, what are we even doing here?
The last touchdown's a freshman trying to run down a running back, and it's just like, the safety,
This is my question for you guys this week then. Do you think the team is going to come out and, come out blazing and give them an actual opportunity in terms of offensively giving defense a break, or do you think that ASU is going to just force a bunch of quick 3-and-outs and then defense is going to end up being on the field most of the game and get tired out quicker?
It's all about the running game. And you look at like the last two defenses that Colorado's faced, like Minnesota, they're big and bulky, and that is not conducive to having a strong running game based on like what Colorado's offensive line is. And it's not that Arizona State has like a bad front seven. Like, they've got a couple guys out there. They don't have Jermaine Lole, which is a big loss, but like, that's a team that I think that they can at least have some sort of run game against, although the passing game still probably isn't there, so they're going to load the box. And so it's kind of tough to say that they will be able to move the ball. I mean, it doesn't matter who they're playing. After what we watched the last 6 quarters, like, you have to say they're probably not going to be moving the ball great.
What I will say is if they find a way to start getting 4 yards on first down with that running game, which
3 yards even
should not be that crazy, 2. That can open up some things that'll make life easy on Brendon Lewis, easier at least.
Yeah,
where you can work some of that play action and just get some of those dump offs of the tight ends that move the chains. But to your point, we saw what happened last week in Boulder, and it was hot in Boulder. When I say hot, it was like 92. Mm-hmm. You put this defense out there for 3/4 of the game in 100 degrees, they're going to tire out real quick. So there's a huge onus on the offense for the Buffs this week to just stay on the field. Like I said, I'm not expecting them to score 24 points, but you have to sustain some drives.
At least keep it moving.
Right.
At the very least, like, not negative 0.9 yards per rush again this week.
Yes.
Like, let's get that into the positives.
Yes.
For me...
But ASU is going to be absolutely selling out on the run.
Yeah.
They will say, we will give you single coverage everywhere.
I also think that's what the Buffs are expecting. And I think the game planning for what Colorado's going to do is going to be a lot different on offense after you put up a goose egg. You have to do something. That's why I don't think the Wildcat thing is that crazy. I think they might not exactly Wildcat, but they might show something weird.
Yeah.
They're going to have to.
I legitimately think direct snaps to Brendon Rice will happen.
And I do think that, so, I mean, the backup quarterback at this point, because of the injuries, it's Drew Carter, who's a true freshman, and they let him in for a couple series after saying for months that he's not ready and that just hopefully he doesn't have to play. I think there's a real chance that we see him in the first quarter of this game just because you need to try something at that position.
Yeah. And he didn't look bad. He
no.
didn't look good.
The balls were a little bit off target, but he was throwing them.
Yeah.
It's a step in the right direction.
So would you say making sure that the run game, you have to improve your yardage is your second key then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good one. And I think the first one was Jarrett getting 100, but the second key was probably defensively stopping the Arizona State run. I think that the Buffs got pushed around a little bit by Minnesota.
Yeah,
they moved the line of scrimmage, missed some tackles, failed to set the edge because they were getting pushed a little bit in the middle. Mm-hmm. And talking to a couple of those guys this week, they really emphasized how, like, those last two defensive or offensive lines they've faced, they've been really big, really strong guys. Mm-hmm. Whereas Arizona State, it's more about like the agility and they're all good at moving and that sort of stuff. And I think that fits Colorado's defense a little bit better just because that's their style of play. They want to be explosive, getting upfield instead of just getting. They were getting pushed around.
However, Colorado's defense will have a little bit of an advantage. Like we said, Chip Trainum's not playing. I don't think. I think
there's a good chance he might.
I don't know. And also something to touch on, and I don't know how it is for Colorado, but ASU has recently changed their media viewing reporting allowances on like how much you're allowed to report on. In terms of the players out at practice, like they don't want you saying they're wearing like a non-contact jersey or they were dressed out or like they left practice early, like none of that stuff. They don't want you reporting on it anymore. And I noticed that the restrictiveness is things that always comes as soon as some disarray is happening inside the program. And I'm shocked it took this long, but
they let you guys watch practice.
Exactly. We don't get to watch anything.
They have about like a 20-minute media thing where you can go out there and get some footage while they're warming up and like doing some group stuff where they break off and really do the drilling and work on doing a walkthrough and whatever. If it's a walkthrough, they don't allow anyone to come in and practice. Normally Thursdays, there's like no media allowance. But I did think that was interesting because, there is that big question mark now involving Chip Trainum, and I don't know how that's going to be. I feel like it's not really going to make a difference for how Colorado's going to game plan to stop Arizona State no matter what. They're still going to want to stop the run. It's not like he's the only running back. Rashad White, Daniel Ngata, both are really strong running backs. But Chip Trainum, I definitely think, is that special piece.
He's the premier back for sure.
He's that special
and it adds a change of pace. He's a change of he's a power guy. Rashad White's a fast guy. Like that whole game planning thing. I think it takes a lot into account when you're looking at two different running backs. But when you're looking at people flying around like this, it also reminds me of how much the live lines on DraftKings fly around when you're looking at them, and it gets me all stressed sometimes. But with an app like DraftKings, it is so fast and easy to use that it doesn't even matter because you can just click, you're in, the bet's in. You want to get the Red Sox -5 when they're up by 4 in the 8th inning. Take it, go. It's there. It's immediate. It's a great app. It's safe. It's secure. Download it now. Use that code PHNX. Get your $150 in free bets when you use promo code PHNX and you bet $1 on any football game this week. That's DraftKings Sportsbook. Download it now.
It's good stuff. That was really good.
So wait, we had I think two keys to the game on this side. One on
the
this
next
side.
key to the game on this side, I'm sure Shane will probably agree with me, is going to be turnovers. Oh my gosh. So ASU has 4 turnovers in the game against BYU when all of 2020 they only had 8 turnovers in total. Jaden Daniels went into that game with 4 interceptions in his entire career, threw 2 more interceptions in that game. So turnovers are going to be huge. Opening things up, Gordon Porter took it out of the end zone, fumbled it away. That was another big detrimental thing for them. But really, it's been a ball security thing. If you've been watching, it's something I've been harping on all week and something I've also mentioned multiple times. I've seen it stem back to about when I noticed it being a glaring issue, Oregon State 2019. So I think ball security is something that has been plaguing ASU, and it's something that I think they need to pay more attention to.
And for me, it just falls into the same thing. It's discipline. It's can ASU be this team that they think they should be all the time? And that's a question they need to ask themselves. Because if you're killing yourself with turnovers and penalties, that's the problem, and there's nothing else that is causing it.
And drops.
It is and drop. It is strictly that, and misfires. I mean, the talent is there. Jaden Daniels has a great arm. They're really talented receivers. Their defense flies around the field, and they've been cohesive for so long. They're a unit that is coming back. It doesn't make sense why there's no chemistry. There has to be something either more going on or they're in their own head.
And that actually leads me to my third point. My next and final key to the game is actually going to be the offensive line chemistry this game.
I think just chemistry in general. I think that's the biggest thing.
Well, I think offensive line was really struggling. They changed their, I don't know what it was that they changed leading up to the game before, but they had changed a couple things going into that game, and the line was having a hard time. And then when BYU was being so loud, they struggled with that. So I really think it's going to be offensive line and how they communicate. I know that they're at home, but still, I think it's going to be a key to the game no matter what. Because we've also talked about how Jaden Daniels is not an easy person to block for. He's all over the place, and I think he's going to be feeling a little bit more, I don't want to say, because this sounds bad. I don't think his confidence is going to be there as strongly this week after throwing 2 interceptions last week, because in the past we already saw his confidence be affected in the same game, after he threw an interception. So,
and that is going to be important for them because, again, the Buffs have been disappointing, obviously, so far this season, but that defense has some dudes who will hit you in the mouth.
Yeah.
Nate Landman, obviously one of the best linebackers in the country. Carson Wells is an underrated pass rusher. Terrence Lang is a legit pass rusher. And these guys are they're mean. That is a mean defense. So if you mess around, your quarterback can be in a world of hurt pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean, Texas A&M Smash Mouth football.
Yeah. You guys got one more key before we move on to the last segment?
You kind of touched on it with your second, but forcing turnovers. Mm-hmm. And like we said, there were the 2 big fumbles in that last game.
Oh, you guys are in luck.
Yeah, I know. I mean, obviously the offense needs all the help it can get at this point.
Yeah.
Turnovers are the best way the defense can do that.
The defensive touchdown is probably necessary to win this game.
Maybe. I think you can say probably. But Jaden Daniels was like the most, or I don't know how you even say it, like the least turnover prone quarterback in the entire country before last week. Mm-hmm. And even like the 2 picks, like they weren't the worst. There was the one
to Curtis Hodges was a weird one because he popped that one up and then it got batted into someone else's hands.
He also threw one against UNLV. Was it UNLV?
Yeah, he did. It was to the corner of the end zone, and after that, he showed really a lot of hesitancy in terms of his passing game.
And Jaden's not the one to get in his own head. He's a really like level-headed dude.
Yeah, it's something that we didn't
really
see
good at.
before.
He's really good at like either hiding or just suppressing his emotions. Like that's just who he is. He's a really calm, collected quarterback, and that was the biggest thing on him his freshman year. He's like, oh, he doesn't look like a true freshman, but everything has stayed the same, and it's because of last year, and it's because of the lack of experience in games. But now, three games into his true junior year, it's like, okay, is something going to change?
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest question.
He was pretty sharp in that first half, though.
Yeah,
he started like 10 of 11.
It's the arm talent.
Hadn't run the ball yet.
There. Yeah,
he's been my quarterback in the DMVR Madden League for like 4 seasons.
I was gonna say, you're talking to one of the bigger Jaden Daniels fans, probably outside of
probably Jaden Daniels stan, honestly. But Buff's got to force a couple turnovers, and they're going to be going man outside. They're going to be sending a bunch of blitzers, I think, and it's just kind of up to those corners to beat those receivers, and they're beatable. They're beatable.
To me, that the stopping the run is going to be everything because ASU clearly figured that out in the second half of that game. Is they looked at themselves in the mirror and said, "What are we doing? Trying to throw it around and do all this with Jaden? He's great." But what's really great about this team is the ability to run the ball, and that's when they made that comeback on BYU. Was
Daniel
just running.
Ngata. He played 1 snap or 2 snaps in the first half, and then he was the premier back on that first drive of the second half, and they scored. It was bizarre to me, and that's why it makes
about why he wasn't put in the game or
that's
had
why
a
it makes
more
me
critical
question
role earlier.
The game plan sometimes. It's because when something's working, you're supposed to go to something else. But why wasn't this something else? I.e., Daniel Ngata thought about before. Why wasn't he a change of pace guy? Everyone thought it was because he was hurt, but it was not because he was hurt. He clearly looked like he was healthy. Yep. All right, don't got much time left. Let's move on to our last segment before we wrap it up. We haven't developed a running name.
Campus highlights.
Yeah, campus highlights. We'll start with Henry. What is one of your favorite things about not just Boulder, but the area around it, just Denver in general? What's one of your favorite things that isn't something you can find in Phoenix?
I mean, number one's got to be like Ralphie, right? Does that fit the category?
Yes.
That it's just so special, and that little baby buffalo is probably the best thing that's happening in the entire country right now. Like you just look at her, and she's the sweetest. Country. Like seriously, like I think I have said this on one of these shows, one of the DMVR shows, but I've got like a pretty great Ralphie source. And so obviously new Ralphie, little baby Ralphie, she's like 16 months old now.
Oh.
They're like training her. She really has trouble with the turns because she really likes when the handlers touch her. And so they go up there and they're like, okay, we got to turn the buffalo. And she just wants to like stop and
she's
hang
like,
out
pet my
and
butt.
puddle.
Yep.
Exactly. But yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 buffalo. And
I
pretty fired
I think
up.
that's something that you Colorado fans find solace in a lot. Is that if we win, we have
look at her.
We got to see Ralphie run.
Yeah.
She can run for 20 yards.
Yeah, she definitely
that
gained more yards than we did last year.
Yeah.
Britt, you want to go?
Tempe's ongoing construction. No, I'm just kidding. I think what I like the most about Tempe is the fact that it's got a bunch of small little like niche areas. Like, you know, the stadium is the only stadium built between 2 buttes in all of America. I think that's super cool that you're built between 2 mountains. That's
More than
awesome.
2 buttes inside too.
And then, you know, I like.
You can't do this live.
I like how it's situated with Tempe Town Lake right there, and it's the way that the mountains look as the sun sets. I like that there's the good weather. I just think overall everything just it clicks. You're not in a small place, but it's also not so big that it's a place to get lost like Manhattan. Tempe itself is small enough; it's easy to get around and commute. Well, downtown Phoenix is also not that far away. It's one of the only places you guys also can relate to this. One of the only cities that has 4 professional sports teams, all 4 major sports. So I liked that. I think there's a lot of benefits to going to one of those 2 types of universities like that. And that was a big draw for me. I'm not a small town type of person. I'm not a little town, little school vibe. Like, that's not me.
So there's like the stay in between the 2 buttes. I also noticed, and this is based only off of like one drive on the way here. I know nothing else about like the state of Arizona. There's a lot of stuff just like built on rocks.
Yep.
Like where there's just like this big rock sticking up, and there's like, oh, there's a building up there.
Oh, I think I know right where you're talking about, where the freeway curves and there's like,
there's
that's
one
like
over
some,
there, and there's one over there.
Castle? I thought it was called a castle.
Oh no, that's a castle.
What is that thing?
It's like 52nd Street.
It was royalty that moved in like the 1940s or something from like Italy or something, and he was like, no, wait, look it up. Look up
it was some sort of
castle
like
on
actual,
McDowell or
like,
something. I'm not going to spread false information.
No, but it was some
I
sort
like
of
We're really
like,
proud of you.
It was some sort of like.
Yeah.
There's a big flag on the top of it.
I'm pretty sure that's just a botanical garden.
No, it's not. No, I've looked this up. I'll look this up right now. RK, you
Google
go.
it.
RK, you go with your thing. I'll look this up and figure out the facts.
Okay, I was just gonna say like, well, my question to you is, we've got a good few group of CU fans coming down here this week. If you had to tell them like, what's the one thing you got to do on game day, or what's the one thing you got to do while you're in
And
Tempe?
this also ties into my whole why Arizona State's going to be a sleeping giant thing, because I feel like there's never really a solid thing to do or any sort of tradition. I mean, ASU really has Mill, or you can tailgate. So, I mean, I would suggest making friends with some Sun Devil fans if you want to tailgate or get your own spot. Most Sun Devils are actually pretty nice to tailgate with. They're pretty friendly.
When we've got
and stuff like that.
We've got a group that we're partnering with this weekend for a tailgate.
Oh, they come through?
Yes.
Hey, Crafty Devils. So we'll be doing a crossover tailgate with that with DNVR hosted by Crafty Devils.
My thing would be is, if I'm going to tell them to go one place, and I hate this place because of my relationship I've built with it over the past couple of years. They like me there, and I like them there. Casa, Sunbar.
Oh, God, I feel that,
too. I hate that place so much, but it is a great place to tailgate.
I'm like 90.
What is that place?
Wait, no. Okay, so it is so much fun. Like, they have buckets of alcohol.
It's a really big bar.
It's really expensive, though, like, in terms of, like, your drink. I feel like it's more overpriced than some other places.
Someone's house.
I thought it was going to be, like,
so when I say
mini
really
golf
expensive,
and, like, that sort of stuff.
When I say
they hate me at mini golf.
No, so, like, when I say really expensive,
There's a big water
it's,
slide.
like, a bucket.
They give you a bucket, like, it's like a pitcher.
It's like $16 on game day. They have it, like, they jack the price
It's
up.
like the number one place people go to watch.
But that would have been my suggestion too, because I know that it is locally owned and stuff, and I know a lot of people who do work there. But I have a love-hate relationship with that place, because I'm 99% sure that last year on Halloween weekend I got drugged when I was there. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
So just be careful if you go to Casa. Hey,
Sounds like a
this
great
is important
time.
for girls who are
Definitely come
watching.
down.
Be careful if you go to Casa, because I was with my whole group and didn't leave my drink, so it would have had to have happened before I got to my table. So that's all I have to say.
Hard-hitting news.
It would make it just straight hate for me.
Tavrea Castle is a real thing. It is not a botanical garden.
There is a garden around it.
Oh,
Wait, what's the difference between a garden and botanical garden?
Wrong.
I don't know. Maybe
Like,
butterflies.
Denver has, like,
Science
one
I
of the
think
best
botanical is like a
gardens around.
desert garden. No,
No,
I'm
no.
dumb. Don't listen to me.
Okay.
That's just
good
something I
call.
made up
It's
right now.
named in honor
Yeah.
of the builder Alessio Carraro and its second owners EA and Della Tavrea. An interpretive trail exhibiting the garden's circle around it and many desert species, as well as a greenhouse to plant for the park.
Sounds like a garden to me.
Sounds a lot like
But
a
it's a
botanical
castle.
garden.
But it's a literal castle. It is not just a garden.
I said it's a castle, but I'm saying you
No,
asked what it was.
It's a castle that's built in honor of a
We'll get into this later because we don't have enough
Botanical
time.
just means relating to plants.
Okay, we're
So
gonna.
you're saying it's a garden?
So
like,
my favorite thing.
anything with any garden is gonna have plants unless I'm imagining it. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, my favorite thing about ASU is the botanical gardens.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
It's the community around it
The secret
because
garden?
because on the entertainment district on Mill Avenue there was recently a retirement
oh
community.
my God, this is like the third time he's mentioning this today.
That's all we have time for, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Whatever, finish your story.
I was coming up with this segment before the show, and I told her this story because I wanted to tell it on the show. Anyway,
Can't let her under your skins.
yeah, well, clearly it's worked.
Obviously.
So they built a retirement community across the space from one of my favorite bars, and
He hates
it's
me too,
for
it's
old
okay.
people,
I hate him.
clearly because it's a retirement community. And again, it's on the entertainment district on Mill. And so they got mad about the sound coming out of one of the places, and they tried to get one of the places shut down. And
Oh yeah,
luckily,
Shady Park.
the community got together and signed all of these, like, what are they called? What would you call them?
papers.
They signed these papers essentially to say this isn't happening, and the community came together and make sure the place wasn't getting shut
There's
down.
a lot of Tempe drama going on over there.
Dude, Tempe has a ton of drama, and I'm super excited to kind of just talk about it and break it all down because, like, I feel like it's so much stupid stuff. It could just be avoided.
It's very true.
And so it's like so frustrating from the outside looking in because it's like watching people it's like watching someone just repeatedly like trying to walk out a door carrying something that's like too wide. And instead of like turning it, they just keep walking and bumping into it.
Wow.
This is great. We
I
really
just
like
wanna think about that
opened
more.
up a Pandora's box
We
over
did.
here.
Oh,
What
yeah.
else is
The
dramatic
favorite
about
things,
Tempe?
their favorite things about Tempe are all things that they also kind of hate.
Yeah,
Oh,
that-
yeah.
that's very true.
All
right.
Ooh, Chuck Box. That's one of my favorite things about Tempe. Make sure you guys go there if you haven't.
So I was actually gonna go because the homies at Crafty Devils were like, you should probably come fed because we don't know if we're gonna have a ton of food. So
Yeah,
Chuck Box before the
Chuck
game.
Box,
Yeah.
but they're cash only, so make sure you bring cash.
You're
But
you're
best
buying, right?
burgers.
I got you.
Because I'm
Oh,
gonna
Chuck,
win
like,
that.
Oh yeah,
ground chuck.
Yeah, they grind it fresh. Is so good. They keep it refrigerated. They shake the patties there, and then they cook it on this big like
It's
open
really good.
fire grill inside, and you can watch it. Like, oh, it's.
I don't know. I need
so
freshly
good.
ground though.
Then they scream at you to give
Kinda-
your order.
I just don't want to think about that part. Just give me the burger. Don't make me think like,
We're
oh,
not,
we just turned this cow into a burger.
Well, they didn't grind it.
It's not
Hey,
like
did
the
you
cows
know that?
are in
Hey,
the back.
that almost reminds me of my
but
one
I don't even want
fact.
to wonder that.
Okay, so like 2 Fridays ago, we had someone on our show, and one of my my questions was like, "What did ASU used to be before it was given to the school to be a university?" And it actually used to be a like farm
Slaughterhouse.
where but it was a slaughterhouse. So it was like
Did you know that?
I was like, it was a what did I call it? I was like, it was a farm. I said something about that and how
Cow
the
death
cows lived
factory.
there. And then I was
Wow.
like, but then they also slaughtered cows there.
This sounds great.
Dude, sounds really haunted.
Tempe,
Anyways.
man.
yeah.
It's gotta be
Um,
haunted.
well,
We
we're-
should have just called it Cowtown.
we're back-
Oh, we should be
Well,
the Tempe
cow go-
cows. We should have been the Tempe cows. This is almost
Tempe
like South Park.
Dead cows.
I'm overwhelmed.
Cow spirits.
I know it's gotta be
I
haunted.
just have to say, based on this conversation, I think I'm gonna continue to stick with Boulder over Tempe.
yeah.
Dude, Tempe is a weird place. I don't blame you.
But I like it here. It's not too bad.
All right, we're back here tomorrow, same time, 3:30. We're gonna have a lot more fun. Somehow. This was a lot of fun, so it's gonna be hard to top. We're gonna be playing games. I think we'll be playing some Flip Cup if possible.
See if you guys can live up to that party school reputation.
Oh, we
Yeah.
lost that. Don't you know we're the School of Innovation now?
Yeah.
Oh really?
Oh.
What have
So-
you innovated?
We innovated the School of Innovation title 7 years
Oh,
ago,
there's
and
a
that's how we
start.
have it for
There's a
7 years
start.
running.
Relationships, friendships.
Hey.
I can innovate a friendship at a whole new level after this.
One time I went to a party at ASU
Except
and
with
two
me,
girls
he
were doing
hates me.
Edward Captain
Oh.
hands. I thought that was pretty
That is
innovative.
like a whole fifth.
Yeah.
Wait,
Okay.
But both.
hands?
Edward,
yeah, that's
no,
plural.
Each had one hand on a bottle of Captain.
Oh, so you're
So
like
instead
friends.
of both hands, they each.
Oh,
shared
Edward Captain
Oh.
Hand singular.
Yes, Edward Captain hand.
Then you have things to do with your. you
Dude,
do things
that'd
with
be
the other
so annoying.
Anyways, we can
That's
end
why
that.
I have to drink it.
All right, guys, back here 3:30 tomorrow. This has been the PHNX DNVR campus crossover, the fabled, as I might add.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll be back tomorrow 3:30. Come join us, and thanks for joining. Peace.
You're out. Dude, you offended that Notre Dame fan. He literally just spammed shit.